If you compare beer with bratwurst,
and cheese with wine,
or even whiskey,
with donuts,
then we think you can pair all of these delicious drinks with
murder,
conspiracies,
missing persons,
and more.
Drink with us as you feed your craving for true crime and creepy stories.
And we're off
On another adventure. Not quite a true crime adventure today. It's just like a weird adventure that we're going to take.
Well, that was kind of our plan in the beginning to not just
Pigeonhole.
we're not just going to do murders and obviously we've done missing persons, little bit of conspiracy with, but it tied into those. We definitely want to get into just kind of some weird stuff. I mean, at some point we're going to get into aliens, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Even government conspiracies, yes. I think we'll dive into, and we'll probably start out with I know of a couple we could start out with that actually happened, and conspiracy theory is not this evil thing that only idiots think. It's actually something that happens.
But I'll tell you this, when we were planning, talking about doing a podcast, I don't think we ever envisioned doing an effed up Australian version of National Lampoon's Summer Vacation.
Yes.
Which is what we're going to talk about today.
That sounds amazing.
It literally is Australia's version of Family Vacation.
Oh.
And it is so messed up.
Excellent. Well, great.
It's such a weird story.
Yeah, you have told me nothing.
Except
where it takes place, which we're venturing out of the country. And I almost wish we had some effects where we could be like rowboating away from the U.S., swim noises. We have to swim part of it, fight some sharks on the way. And
to get to Australia.
And that's where we're at. So what better thing to introduce us to Australia than the one beer that everyone thinks of when they think of Australia? And it might just be good campaigning for when we grew up. I have no idea if this actually is Australia's best beer. I don't know if they actually drink it down there.
Down under.
And I mean, technically we're there now. So here in Australia, I don't know if they drink it here. Too bad we're not talking to the natives and we need to know.
Hey, I don't think they're called natives.
Do you drink Fostas? Yeah, they call their natives something else. Aborigines, I think.
Aboriginals.
I
don't know.
Yeah, they got their own version of our Native
They have their
American.
own version of everything, and it's all just a little bit amplified.
Yeah.
Australia is the Florida of continents. Where every weird story you're but only in Australia.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
the sharks are bigger. Dingoes eating babies.
Oh, the dingo.
The crocodile hunter. It's all just.
But they give us such good, just a wealth of fun videos.
Australia does?
They really do. I mean, between all the animal stuff.
Logo. We give you good videos.
Yeah. Australia.
The home of the good video.
You get a good video. That's one thing I wish I could do was an Australian accent.
We can't. We're going to try.
No,
but we can't.
We're probably going to do a ton of English accents trying to do the Australian.
Yes. Yep.
But, that's what you're listening to the podcast for is
the
ridiculousness
that
comes with the ridiculous stories that we're doing. All right. So we're doing Fostas. And
I'm laughing because the can Jason has in his hand is the size of a newborn baby.
It really is.
It is the biggest can. Even the mouth part is humongous.
You feel small drinking out of this.
Maybe that was Australia's plan. from the beginning. Let's make them all feel small.
Yeah. And in a way, Australia's kind of a combined, like it's a Florida and Texas combination.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Texas has a lot of crazy, weird stuff there too, as far as bugs and stuff, but everything's bigger in Texas. Like just personalities are bigger from Texas. And I always feel that is the way of Australians. Australians got that accent that anything is funny that they say, but it's also probably one of those accents that women can't resist. They're just like, oh, I thought you were ugly, and then you talked.
And then he opens up a Foster's, a giant can, and you're like, yes, thank you.
That's
you're
humongous. Ready for the bedroom already at that point.
Like, even the spot that you drink out of, like beer is going to like spill out of the corner of my mouth. It's humongous.
She can't help herself, guys. So I was going to say some things about Foster's. First of all, I didn't know this until I looked up their website. They actually have 2 different beers. They got a green can and a blue can.
Foster's or Australia?
Foster's.
Okay.
I hope Australia has more than one.
Australia just had 2.
They're just living off of Foster's. I'm like, fuck everything else. Foster's is the best.
Let's go surfing.
What's that you're drinking there, mate? Some sort of queer liquid? See? English right away. All right, so it's been around for a very long time, since 1887. It was founded in Melbourne. I had no idea this beer was that old.
Oh, our story is connected to Melbourne.
Oh.
Melbourne.
Wow.
It's like that, though.
See, I do my research. I do my best. Let's see here. So, one thing that's crazy about this is the can is on purpose. Foster's,
it would have to be on purpose.
It would, but I mean, or
it's humongous.
Yeah, or like maybe Australian cans are this big, all of them. But it is actually a Foster's thing. So Foster's 25.4 ounce can, that's bigger than 2 of our regular beers, 12 ounces. Arrived in the U.S. in 1972. They resembled.
It took over 100 years to cross the ocean and get to the U.S. You said it was started in like 18 what?
Well, it was started in 1887.
Almost 100 years to get to the U.S.
So in the history before, it does say Foster. It was created in 1887. They were so dedicated to delivering Foster's the way it should be enjoyed. They even sold it with ice to keep Australia's warm environment at bay. More than 120 years later, the bold, refreshing taste of Foster's is available in more than 150 countries, making it the largest selling Australian beer brand in the world. So maybe it did take 100 years to get to
that ice would have melted. Pack it in ice. We're selling this with ice. Put it on a boat, crosses the ocean.
Sure, they brought some extra ice.
Floating in a thing of water at that point. Way to go, Foster's.
So the can resembled
a huge can.
Couple of huge cans there we got on the table.
Yeah, 2 huge cans.
They resembled motor oil cans, so naturally Americans nicknamed them Foster's oil cans, and the name stuck ever since. Truth is, we quite like it almost as much as we like what's inside.
They look like oil cans. They absolutely do. And there's nothing about that like slogan that makes me want to go crack one open and let me put it in my mouth.
I don't know. I as a man, I would be okay with, that phrase.
Nope.
Crack one open so I can put it in my mouth. Crack one of those oil cans.
Oil. Hey.
I want to be a man drinking oil.
In Australia, I think they would call it petrol.
Petrol. Maybe. Actually, not maybe. They do.
They do. All right. Well, crack it open. It's humongous.
I was just going to say like a little bit. It's these guys are lagers, right? Yes. So the blue can is a lager. The green can is an ale.
Okay.
let me just look and see if there's anything of note here. The secret yeast doesn't produce sulfur harshness that other beer cans.
Wait. Did you just say beer can?
Beer cans. Beer cans. Beer cans.
If you want to say bacon in an Australian accent, you just say beer can.
Yeah. You're supposed to turn the ERs and ORs and all that into A's or O's. Beer.
Beer can. Do you want some?
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer can.
With the eggs.
That sounds something else.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a secret yeast that doesn't produce sulfur harshness that other beers can exhibit, which means that Foster's taste is never skunky and always Australian. So yeah, that is Foster's in a beer can, and we're going to try it.
All right.
So if you can fit this in your hand.
Probably not.
You might have to double fist
Holy
it.
smokes.
Oh,
sorry.
Hit that's in the mic.
That's how big it is. I have to hold it with 2 hands, and I can't even, that's it just touching the table. It is humongous. Okay. It can't go on the table. It weighs like this is what some people use when they work out. It's like a dumbbell.
Yeah.
Not me though. No, not me.
It's for
my dumbbells are bigger. Okay.
Your
ready?
dumbbells are bigger.
Oh wait, I can't even open it. Wow, that was a good one.
It was.
Okay. Never skunky, only Australian. Down the hatch.
I like it.
It's like you can't even get your mouth around it.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
We're gonna have to set these off of our tables.
You can't set it down without it causing a ruckus.
Hold on, folks. We'll be back. We gotta figure this out. Okay, we figured it out. She's got a space next to her, and I've got a soft chair I could put mine in, just like a baby. So, what do you think of it?
I don't know yet. I'm undecided about Foster's beer right now. I feel like it has when it first touches your tongue, pleasant. Once you swallow, less pleasant.
Yeah, there's things like that in life. I'm
pretty sure this batch, they set sail in 1874.
It tastes old to you?
Yeah, and it's not bad. It's just I feel like it's a manly beer.
Yeah.
It is not for women. I don't know what women in Australia drink, but I don't think it's Foster's because it's not. It says not skunky or whatever, no skunk, only Australian. I usually like a little skunk in my trunk. I don't like this because it rhymes.
I don't even know what that means. I
don't even know what it means.
Can mean.
But I don't know. The jury's still out.
Okay.
On my opinion on Foster's. What do you think, though? I mean,
there's not a lot special to it. I don't know. I gotta dive into it a little bit longer.
It's big enough you could dive into it. You just take the top right off.
It's true. I could just take a bath. It's a light beer. It's a lot of flavor to a light beer, but the flavor's not there's not a lot of different flavors or anything. It's just one bolder flavor. It reminds me of a little bit of a malt, where it is just it's a heavier beer flavor. Yeah, it's not dimensional. But I like it. It's not bad.
All right. Well, I'm still waiting to see what I feel about it in a little bit.
All right.
It's got me burping already, so you're welcome.
Well, it was an easy choice. It's Australia. Well, it's America's most known Australian beer.
Yes. And to pair with this Australian beer, we have a story straight from Australia herself.
Perhaps.
Yes. So located in Sylvan, Victoria, a province of Australia, was the Tromp, not Trump, it's an O, family red currant farm. Do you know what red currants are?
I have no idea.
All right, fun fact. Red currants, members of the gooseberry family, taste like a mix between raspberries and rhubarb and are commonly used to make jam.
Oh, so it's a fruit.
A berry? Berries are fruit.
Yeah.
You should have seen the face he just made at me. Here on the Tromp farm, the Tromp family also ran a successful earth-moving business. There are 5 members in the Tromp family. Mark, the father, who at the time of this very bizarre story was 51. Jacoba, very Australian name, the mother was 53. Rihanna was the oldest child, a daughter, and she was 29, followed by Mitchell, the only son, who is 25, and Ella, the youngest, who is 22. On August 30th, 2016, police arrived at the Tromp farm. Upon arrival, they noticed that the doors to the home and cars were all unlocked. One station wagon belonging to daughter Ella was missing from the property. The other cars that had been left behind had keys still ominously remaining in their ignitions. Upon searching the family home, police discovered every family member's passport, their bank cards, and several mobile phones. The police also noticed that there were piles and piles of financial and business documents, organized and neat as though someone had been looking for something specific, but took the opportunity to get such documents in order at the same time. What wasn't found at the time of the police search was any sign of where the family could have gone or what could have happened to this normal, hard-working Aussie household. It started off with 5. No one will know if August 29th, 2016 started out like any other Monday for the Tromps. What is certain, however, is that that day ended as anything but ordinary. It was on Monday that all 5 family members of the Tromp family got into Ella's silver Puget.
Puget.
P-E-U-G-E-O-T.
I'm guessing that's a car.
It's a little SUV similar to a station wagon.
Must be their own brand over there.
I think it's an Australian thing.
Yeah, never heard of that.
Me neither. And headed north. 30 kilometers, which is almost 19 miles into the trip, it was discovered that Mitchell, who supposedly should have left his cell phone behind with the others, had secretly smuggled it into the car. Upon this discovery, Mitchell was made to throw his phone from the moving vehicle out of the car window, leaving the family without any traceable technology or indeed any way to call for help.
Okay, so just to clarify, things happened on the 30th, right?
Police show up at the home.
Yeah,
or the farm on
that's
the
where we
30th.
started with the story. The police were there on the 30th, and now we're on the 29th.
Yep, the day that the
Cruising
entire
in the
ordeal starts.
Putrid car or something. what
Puga? Puga?
Puga?
Maybe it's a Puga?
Puga?
You Aussie people.
Yeah, Aussie people.
It's like a station wagon, so super cool, I'm sure.
Yeah, station wagon should bring that back. I think we've talked about that before already. Anyway.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. So the family would drive the entire first day and night without stopping until they reached the town of Bathurst, which is roughly 800 kilometers from their home, which is nearly 500 miles driven over the course of a day and a night. It was in Bathurst that Mitchell abandoned the other members of the family and seemingly took off on foot in order to get away from his parents. He would later say that he had to get away because his parents were progressively becoming more paranoid and their behavior was starting to show it. And now we have 4. Later on that Tuesday, Mark, Jacoba, Rihanna, and Ella continued driving toward the popular tourist destination called the Genelin
So they just
Caves.
left him behind?
He just starts walking to get away. And they just drive away.
You're lost, bud.
Yes. It was here at the Genelin Caves that the 2 daughters, Rihanna and Ella, too, are going to flee from their parents. Now, instead of calling for help or going to the police, the 2 girls, out of perhaps an eagerness to get away, actually steal a car and take off driving toward Goulburn, a town which is about 150 kilometers or 96 miles south of where they started at the Genelin Caves.
What? Is the brother anywhere near there? So
Nope.
They don't even go back for their brother?
No, Mitchell's just out in the bush.
They just go somewhere else.
He's on a walkabout, and they steal a car.
And go 100 miles away.
Yes.
Weird.
Yes.
Okay.
Once the sisters...
And you said on the first one, he left because his parents were getting so paranoid.
So he says later, like, I had to leave. My parents' behavior was just strange. They were becoming more and more paranoid. That's what he later says to, like, media and police officers.
Okay.
Now, once the sisters arrive in Goulburn, the two girls actually do report their parents missing with the authorities. And
when was that?
It's that same day.
Same day.
Yes.
And when they get to where they were going,
yes.
They're like, my parents are missing. But
yeah.
Why would they say they're missing?
Like,
we left my parents. We stole a car, went 100 miles away. Oh, my parents are missing.
Worst vacation ever. I have absolutely no idea. Nobody ever explains anything. The parents? Just listen. So once the sisters arrive in Goulburn, they report their parents missing, and then at a petrol or a gas station, they inexplicably part ways. Ella stating, she's the younger sister, that she needed to return to the farm to feed her horses. It was after this missing report was made that all of Australia became obsessed with the strange case of the Tromp family.
So what's the case at this point, though? It's the parents are gone, or the kids say, or
they say their parents are missing.
Two kids say the parents are
missing.
Explain
why or how, and they're just like on this road trip.
So
along the coast of
when they give an explanation
Southeast
to
Australia.
Authorities that our parents are missing, what do they say?
You're gonna listen to an interview by two members of the family.
Awesome.
And it is just bizarre. Like, literally no information is given. Which, at this story, at this point, would have reminded me of Balloon Boy. Which is like a local case from Fort Collins. Which
which was so weird.
But we were obsessed. Will you just summarize Balloon Boy really quickly for anybody who wasn't
anybody
alive,
that doesn't know what Balloon Boy
time?
was, which I think it went national. I'm pretty sure
it did.
Anyway, there was
a
family, a dad who had supposedly this humongous balloon that I can't remember if he created it or what. It was but it was like a weather balloon.
Shiny, silver.
I think he created it. I think. Anyway, it came out that this thing took off and was carrying I think it was like a 5-year-old or 3-year-old, something like that, very young boy in this balloon.
Yeah.
Everybody could see this balloon floating in the air. It was gigantic. If you were within probably a mile of the area, you saw this balloon floating around. And supposedly there was this boy. So it became this big thing. Like there's this 3-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy up in this balloon, and it's floating around, and they don't know what to do.
No,
the authorities don't know what to do. The military, I think the military got involved, the government. And then in the end, boy was just up in the attic.
And it was all
hiding,
planned.
And it was all planned.
But the entire state of Colorado, watched. They were glued to all the news reports.
Yeah.
There were still shots of the balloon, and then people would say oh, look, there's something falling from it, and they would circle and they would zoom in, and everybody had to know what happened to Balloon Boy.
I'll be honest, I heard about it that day. I called just bullshit on it. It sounded like tabloid stuff, but it wasn't even actually happening. I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh. This is actually these people actually did it until 2 days later. But yeah, it was it was a hoax.
It was
the whole thing.
And that's what this feels like.
It on everybody.
Just in terms of literally all of Australia was obsessed. Where are the Tromps? Where in the world are the Tromps? Now, Ella would actually be the first Tromp family member to be found safe. She was actually found in the home when police performed their search based on the missing report made by the girls. Mitchell would show up to the family farm the following morning after taking an overnight train from Sydney, Australia. Ella and Mitchell would be the only Tromp family members found safe and well.
And Ellie and Mitchell are mom and dad, brother, sister?
Brother, sister.
Sorry, I got to have details multiple times.
They are middle sibling, which is Mitchell, the brother, and Ella, the youngest, the sister. It was her car.
Yeah.
And they're just at home. They're the ones who are going to give the interview.
They're going to end up being the only ones
found safe and well. Okay. Well being the key term.
Okay.
Now, at some point between parting ways with her sister Ella, Rihanna climbed into the back of a utility vehicle in Goulburn. The driver of the vehicle, after having driven for about an hour, felt a kick on the back of his seat, and as he turned around, saw a pair of feet and 2 legs stretched across the back of the vehicle. Keith Whitaker, the driver of the Ute, which I think is utility, would report that Rihanna was in an apparent catatonic state. She could not give him any personal details about herself, like her name, where she was from, and she had no idea where she was at that moment.
She's tripping balls?
I don't know. From here, Rihanna was taken to the Goulburn Hospital, where she would remain in psychiatric care for months.
What?
For months. For months. Her and her sister steal a car. One girl goes home to feed horses, completely fine. The other gets in the back of a utility vehicle and has to receive psychiatric care for months.
We have barely any details from you about this family so far, and they sound like the most fucked up family ever.
I can't even.
Like the fact that they're just like, fuck you, mom and dad, or I'm going out this way. And they're like, fuck you, kid, we're going this way. And then they're like, hey, he was right. You guys are crazy. We're out.
Let's
and they're
steal
like,
a car,
fine,
though, and not
get
actually
out of here. And they're like,
handle it appropriately.
Where do we go? Oh, well, let's steal a car.
There's no explanation. You will not get any answers either.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna give. You don't know the family too much, but the family from Shameless, the Mick
I
something.
thought they were the Gallaghers.
The Gallaghers. That's what it is.
I don't even watch that show.
It's like Mick Gallagher. Nope.
Oh, they're
just
Irish.
Gallaghers. Yeah. Yeah, they give the Gallaghers a run for their money already in 5 minutes of your tale.
All right. Then there were 2. From the Genelin Caves, Mark and Jacoba, the mom and dad, just to remind you, in case you're confused.
Thank you.
Right? Their son has left. Their daughters have left. They're going to drive back toward Melbourne, which is really close to where their farm is.
This episode of the Perfectly Paired With podcast is brought to you by Jason Owen of the Impact Group. You'll be hard-pressed to find a better real estate agent than Jason Owen. If you live in the Denver metro area, be sure to contact him and ask him about the special savings you could receive as a first responder or a teacher. He is out there trying to help those that help us. Contact Jason Owen at the link in the description of this podcast and ask about those savings. That's Jason Owen of the Impact Group, a division of Your Castle Real Estate.
On Wednesday, roughly 600 kilometers or 372 miles from the Genelin Caves, in the town of Wangaratta, a young couple out for a drive noticed a silver SUV tailgating dangerously close to their vehicle. The couple, incredibly alarmed, pulled over, hoping that the vehicle would just pull past. Instead, the driver of the vehicle got out and took off running towards the couple. The couple, terrified, watched as the man, without warning, stopped in the middle of the road, slowly turned, and just walked away.
What?
So, like, if it were a horror movie, he would be running, he'd stop. He would creepily smile and then just turn. It's like something from
it reminds me of
Get Out or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get Out, the same thing. I'm guessing.
And it's just a man. There's no woman in the car with him.
This crazy family's putrid vehicle was silver.
Yes.
Okay.
The Puga. The station wagon.
Patrol.
As we call it here in the USA.
Patrol vehicle. Yeah. Is it, I don't want to ask like too quickly, but is that the same vehicle? Like,
yes,
are they attributing to?
It's Mark. He just stands in the middle of the road after tailgating them, after running towards them. He just stands and just stares in the middle of the road and then slowly turns and walks away, headed in the direction of something called Merriwa Park. Merriwa Park.
Park. Merriwa Park.
But you have to be wondering right now, like it started with 2. Where the heck is Mark's wife, Jacoba? She's not in the vehicle. The vehicle is left.
Was that in the report too, that it was just this man driving the car?
Yeah, we're going to find her later. Just wait.
Holy cow. Also, I know, little brother decided to leave because they were being paranoid. And he just starts walking, so he's already doing something weird. And then the sisters decide to leave because they're being weird. They do something weird. It's like this whole family is hit with something.
We're going to talk about how, like, the options for what happened, but we're not there yet. So we got to find them all. Okay. So on Thursday, September 1st, Mitchell appeared on Channel 9 in Australia and spoke of his father in the following manner. Quote, "He's scared that people are after him. He's not in a good state of mind." I should do that in an Australian accent. No. He's scared that people are after him. He's not on a good state of mind, mate.
You had like a little Australian beginning, and then
I know
the rest was
my favorite is he's
English.
Not in a good state of mind. Thank you.
I wonder if our buddy Eddie could actually do an Australian accent. He's English, and
I don't know. Maybe you could.
It's just his voice is in my head all the time. We see him every day. But I want to hear his, like, I want a tutorial from him. Like,
this will be my favorite.
What's the difference between the English accent
Let's see
and
if he can do Australian. And then anytime we want an Australian accent, we're just going to dub him in. So it'll be my voice until I'm doing Australian accents. And then it'll be a man from England doing the Australian accent.
We're just kidding, folks. That's too much work. We are
Plus, he
somewhat
is way
lazy.
too cool.
Not lazy. We're
he is
busy.
Just too cool for all of that.
And he is probably the coolest.
Yes.
It's probably the accent that makes it. He probably isn't cool. It's probably just the accent.
You're right.
No, he's pretty cool.
The English accent is the super coolest.
Super cool. Yeah.
All right.
Like his wife's cool. His kids are cool. Yeah, they're just.
They're just a cool family.
Good family.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Can we say their last name? Let's not say it.
Say their last
All right. You know who you are. Okay. That afternoon.
Shout out Edard.
Eddie, mate. That afternoon, police located Jacoba wandering around 350 kilometers or 217 miles from Wangaratta, which is the last known sighting of Mark, in a town called Yass.
Which is Australian for yes.
Yes. I mean, yes. It was there. You made me. That was so funny. Good job. It was there that her mental health was assessed, and it was deemed that it wasn't of a good standard. Again, thank you, Australia. Thank you. That's super clear and medical.
Yeah.
Following that assessment, Jacoba was taken to the same hospital that housed her daughter, Rihanna, and that is where Jacoba also remained 4 months. Not 4 months, as in the number, for lots of months.
Just being insane.
How did she get to Yass? Her husband is literally, for us Americans 217 miles away with a car.
Wait.
And she's just in Yass wandering around. Okay. So before we started recording, I told my husband that I sent him a map so that as I was telling the story, he could follow along. He never pulled up that map and is completely lost.
Yeah.
So we have the map pulled up, and now he can follow along.
Yeah. My bad habits as a student, as a child, never left me. So instructions and doing things and following along are not my strong suit, but other things really are. Like delegating work. Okay, so we're looking at the map here.
Mm-hmm. So number one is
we start with Melbourne. That's where they live, and then we go to
number 2 is
either
where
Sylvan or Warburton.
So Sylvan is where they live. Melbourne is on there because it's the capital, of Victoria.
So
Not
they're
of all of
they're like
Australia.
a suburb
That's
of
Canberra.
Melbourne. They're a suburb of Melbourne.
So they on the map they're showing Warburton, but that's where Mitchell is forced to throw his phone out the window.
So and you said when they left, nobody was allowed to bring a cell phone.
No, and he snuck
So they're running from something.
Yeah, they don't want to be tracked.
Okay.
So they just drive straight through.
They go way far.
Day and night.
To Bathurst.
Yep. But somewhere along the way, we don't know where, homeboy Mitchell gets out.
So Mitchell's lost between 2 and 3 here.
Yep.
And we'll post this map on our Instagram, so anybody that wants to see it can see it.
At 3, the sisters leave Bathurst. They steal a car and drive to Goulburn, which is southeast. In Goulburn, they report their parents missing. One sister makes it safely home. The other sister gets in a ute and enters a catatonic state. All the while this is happening, Mitchell is walking or, I don't know, getting in cars. Because from Sydney, which is not close to Bathurst, where he's like, gets out, he takes an overnight train from Sydney all the way down to Sylvan, where he arrives at the family home, where Ella, the youngest sister, made it safely.
How many days after was that Mitchell was there?
Like 2 days.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah.
At Bathurst, the sisters leave. They go to Goulburn. And then my assumption is Mark and Jacoba start driving southwest. And Jacoba in Yass somehow either gets kicked out of the vehicle or decides to leave on her own. And according to you, she's just being insane in Yass for a significant amount of time because we don't hear anything about her while her husband drives all the way down to Wangaratta and starts tailgating. Insane. Yeah. Tailgating that young couple.
You know what's crazy? All right. So we've got this map. It shows this little chunk of Australia. I'm pretty sure the only cities that I could name off the top of my head are both Melbourne and Sydney. And there they are. Yeah. Pretty damn close to each other. What the heck is the rest of Australia? Because Australia's big.
It's an outback.
I don't know. Do you know what Australia is like size-wise compared to the United States?
I did my 3rd grade country report in Australia, and all I remember is that we made bread from there, and it was not delicious. That's all I remember.
You got a cool country like Australia, and you made bread from there. Should have brought Foster's.
Would have gone over really well at my elementary school. It's the size. This can is the size of an elementary school kid. It's ridiculous.
Look how cute Katie is trying to carry the couple cans
with her petrol can, her oil can.
Anyway.
All right. Now, only one Tromp remained. On Saturday, September 3rd, which is 6 days after the family left their home and 2 whole days after Jacoba was found, which means Mark is just being insane. Mark was located running along a street on the outskirts of Wangaratta near the airport. Now, during this time, there were several home burglaries, which were reported, and many people believe it was just Mark breaking into people's homes, passing the time, being crazy.
Does he have any history of breaking into homes?
No, he has a history of growing red currants and moving the earth. Now, he was questioned by police, and they assessed Mark's mental health. Apparently, they deemed his mental health of a better standard than his wife's because he was released into the care of his brother, who is a police officer. As he drove away, he flipped off all of the reporters watching this like the end of the story people had been obsessed with.
Oh, it's so weird that everybody was just like, what's the next step for the Tromp family? And still
no explanation.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even know at this point, like, do I pay attention? I wouldn't even know why. Like, what? Wait, why are we paying attention to this family? Like, everybody's accounted for, right?
No, they just like keep discovering them one by one. And what like blows my mind is they're like literally hiding in plain sight. Homeboy Mark was in Wangaratta for more than 48 hours and nobody like detects him or finds him. Like I picture him being like stealthy and doing like rolls behind homes and like
what?
How is nobody noticing this crazy man?
But what caused the nation to tune in?
The girls report them missing, and I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe they got the Amber Alert, whatever that we have, and
yeah, I don't know. But a slow day, no great white shock attacks, no dingoes stealing babies.
We just got.
It's just like a
grandma, grandpa.
Just those Tromps, those crazy Tromps. Now, after the father is found safe, Ella and Mitchell gave a rather bizarre interview, and in it they make zero effort to try and explain what transpired over the previous 6 days. Like they give no explanation.
What?
Mitchell spends a lot of time trying to explain like, oh, I just, like I was going along to make sure everybody was okay. And I probably should have stayed, but I just didn't want to because they were acting weird. And then Ella just talks about her dang horses.
What?
But I think I want you to see it because
okay. So this is after everything's done, right?
Yes. Well, is it Rihanna and their mom are like in a mental hospital and this is the best they can do? The father is flipping off the media and this is their interview with like media. Okay. And their accents are going to be better than ours, but theirs are authentic.
Oh.
Ours are fabricated.
It just makes it more funny with their accent.
No, but you would think that like this isn't a serious situation. And then you like sit down and you're like, but seriously, your mom and sister
are like they went
AHSing, like American Horror Storying it in some psychiatric unit.
And they're crazy themselves. Like, what happened? They all went crazy.
For a short amount of time, yes. And this is what they say.
Thought getting out was the best idea at the time. But yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have stayed with them and tried to help and bring them back around or talk to them more.
I was still confused about the whole situation, as I still am now. But I needed to get home to feed my horses. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do they seem normal?
I expected more of an interview.
I think that's
like
the
20
best.
seconds.
That I mean, I'm sure the interview was longer, but that literally,
I think look like they cut much. It was just kind of like,
boils it down to what the two had to say.
Which was
you
nothing.
You should have stayed, mate. I've got to feed my horses.
Yeah, she was happy she got back to feed her horses, and
I'm
he was like,
confused.
He like said nothing basically.
I can't. He was too busy. I mean, for him, his portion of the journey was the shortest, right?
What year is this?
2016.
2016. So
he's like 25 years old. His parents make him throw his phone out. He's like, I'm sick of this. I'm done. He either walks or hitchhikes to Sydney gets on an overnight train and goes home. He has very little
so
to say.
So his social cred is just like going through the roof. He doesn't care. He's like, life's good right now.
I can't
I
even.
have more friends that I know what to do with on social media.
Yeah, because the whole world was like, Tromps. We need to get to know these people.
The Tromps. What happened to the Tromps?
And she shows zero sign that she feels bad at all that her sister, after leaving her in Goulburn, is catatonic in the back of a utility vehicle. Like, that's where this story just boggles my mind. Because on the surface, it's like, oh, it's a funny, ridiculous story with no, like, true consideration for the fact that 2 of the family members wind up in psychiatric care for months. Could you imagine what could have happened to her in somebody else's vehicle if it wasn't Whitaker who found her? Like, she could have gone missing forever and nobody would have known. It's insane to me that she's laughing on camera, talking about how she wants to feed her horses. Homegirl, you left your sister, and she's in a hospital now because she got into a stranger's vehicle.
When that interview was done, where is her sister at the time?
At the hospital. Because this was after their father was found. So all 5 members of the family are accounted for. The sister and the mom are in a frickin' hospital, and they're like, I probably should have stayed. I had to feed my horses. Are you kidding me? You can't even explain how you got into this predicament or give some sort of like indication that you understand the gravity of what
I like how the description says Tromp children explain why they left their family vehicle, but they didn't. So there's got to be maybe a longer one out there.
Well, in the end, they say their parents are paranoid.
Yeah.
They think somebody's after them.
The professionals taking what they could out of the interview put the most important parts there.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
No.
It was
just like Foster's, the story will leave you wanting.
Interviewing the most average, bland family that has no news about anything. Like, why are you guys talking to us? Like, I'm just going to go back to feeding my horses. And
and they're just
you don't realize, like,
just
your dad's gone insane. Your mom's gone insane. You have a sister that's gone insane.
And perhaps you also went insane.
Exactly.
You left your keys in your vehicle.
You stole a
left
car.
Your phone.
Also, what's Grand Theft Auto there?
The sister did get charged, not the one that was put in the psychiatric hospital.
Oh, so the one on the...
she was charged.
She's like, well, at least I could still feed my horses, because the alternative was I'd be in jail.
Eventually, they dropped charges, but she absolutely was charged with stealing a car.
That's crazy.
Now, since no actual explanation of what transpired or what was going on behind the scenes was ever really provided by the family to the public, all we are left with is a slew of theories, each as speculative as the next, and none actually offering many answers that we're looking for. So some speculated that the family had drunk tainted water, poisoned by heavy metals, drugs, or some kind of gases. I could not make out the word. It was Australian gas. And the ingestion of this water caused the family to engage in paranoid behavior. However, after Ella made one of the police sergeants tea using water from the farm, and he didn't lose his mind and go on a 6-day... As Foster's, I talked crap about it, and now it's coming for me. And he didn't lose his mind.
Because you're holding back burps.
I know.
It's choking you.
No more beer. And go on a 6-day technology-free and cash-only drive across Australia. This theory is quickly dismissed. Another theory speculated that the family was poisoned by products on the farm, such as chemicals like organic pesticides from China sprayed on their crops. However, after the crops were tested, the tests revealed nothing in terms of agents capable of making the family behave in such a strange manner. Others even considered moldy bread, or ergot, which is like the technical scientific term, as the culprit. Apparently,
ergot is like mold from like bread, right? Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And they considered that the culprit. Apparently, mold can act as a hallucinogenic drug, but mold thrives best in cold environments, and that doesn't really describe Victoria, Australia in August.
No.
One theory suggested that it was the mob. That was the reason why the family felt they were being targeted by someone so much that they needed to flee. However, that doesn't explain why the kids were so willing to just bounce and leave their parents, or why the parents were willing to allow the children to leave on their own. I see you making a face.
I mean, if it's mob.
Do they have the mob in Australia? What are they called?
Mob. You got gangs and all that type of stuff everywhere. So if it is them.
Australian mob, brought to you by Foster's.
Maybe. If it is them and the family's borrowing money for whatever to, keep the farm going, it's probably mom and dad mainly doing it. So they're probably the main target of it. And maybe they say to the kids, hey, all this is happening and you guys are targeted too. And they're like going and they're just like, feel like their parents are insane and say, fuck this, I'm getting out. And the parents are just like, they called their bluff. the mob did not say anything about our kids, but we got to get out of here. But at the same time, I don't think that would be it, because there's too much strange behavior amongst it all. And maybe it was the mob, and they poisoned all of them. And all of this happened. All of a sudden, national attention is on
and the mob backs off.
And the mob's like, "Whoa, we let's just let them look crazy." And when they get back to the farm and doing their regular stuff, we're gonna make sure they pay the money they owe us.
Well, if it wasn't the mom. Another theory put forth that it was just regular old debt collectors, which is like a legal version of the mob.
Yeah.
But when police explored this, they discovered that the farm and earth moving business was doing well, with 0 outstanding debts. This leaves us with my favorite theory, a psychological condition known as folie à deux. Translated means the madness of two.
Was that a Frenchman that discovered this?
The first case was in France. Now, this condition, also known as shared psychosis or the shared delusion disorder, consists of 2 or more people who share the exact same delusion. The first ever known case of folie à deux involved a 34-year-old married couple known as Margaret and Michael. They believed that people were breaking into their homes at night, wearing their shoes, and spreading dust and dirt all over their home.
That sounds like some OCD paranoia.
Just screaming at each other, you did this. No, you did this. No, somebody came in and did this.
Yeah, somebody actually did. That's wild. Is that the only theories right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
So 2016.
You have another theory?
Well,
can we first finish the folie à deux conversation?
Oh yeah,
I'm not done.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Now for the Tromps and Margaret and Michael, their shared psychosis, although bizarre, was not criminal. People seem to completely skip over Jacoba and Rihanna and their need for months of psychological care. So we're just going to slide them aside and say, you know what? It's just crazy fun.
It's the weird part of everything.
But folie à deux has resulted in really terrible outcomes, particularly for young perpetrators who find themselves sharing the same delusions. For example, the Slender Man attempted slaying of Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier was committed based on the shared delusion that the Slender Man wanted the girls to murder Peyton Leutner.
Oh, that one's so weird. Yeah, they both
they literally believed
saw the
Slender
Man
was
told them to kill this other kid.
Yeah,
and they decided to do it.
Yes. And now, luckily, Peyton survived. However, like, there's so many stories of this folie à deux in kids where they, like, truly believe their shared delusion and, like, murder people.
Jeez. So kids is the most prominent place for that to
I would just say
place.
It's more, like, the consequences are more drastic in kids.
I could see it being more common in kids because they can kind of talk each other into seeing things.
It's
you
also
know?
like imagination.
Yeah.
Right? Kids have the ability to truly like have an imagination.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, they're saying adults can have it too. That's a tricky one there then to explain that away.
But I'm super curious. You have another theory as to what happened to this family.
Okay. So, when was this? It was like 3 or 4 years ago. There were, I can't remember if they were like part of the federal government or if it was statesmen. But anyway, they were going down to, I think, Mexico, different places, or one place down there. This is just off the top of my head because it's what I thought of right away, and I didn't do any research. But it reminded me of, like, there is technology out there where they can basically, like, beam in sound waves, I think is what it is, and it, like, makes a person, I don't know if it's go crazy inside their hotel room, because that's what it was in their hotel room. These sound waves or whatever microwaves were being beamed into their hotel, and they almost died, or they did die. I can't remember the details, but I just remember it was put out there that there's this technology to do this, and it was targeted American officials, whether it was federal government or states government, that this happened to, and it was multiple of them, and then it just went away. Like, nobody said anything about it. But it's like technology like that is what makes me wonder, could this family be a product of experiment?
Can I tell you something that is like blowing my mind? So I'm trying to find, I have vivid memories of watching a documentary where there's an entire apartment in like the 60s where people got unexplainably ill and all started dying. And the only explanation was like, it was governmental testing of like certain sounds or like radio waves and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I have performed every single Google search I can think of to try to find anything connected to, I can picture in my head watching this program, because I'm 85 years old.
PBS.
And I cannot find anything about it. Like, nothing. And it like blows my mind. I was like,
I guarantee you
saw
my
life.
I guarantee
I
you
saw this
thing.
But it kind of fits with what you're saying, is like, maybe there are just some things being tested.
You should DuckDuckGo it instead of Googling it. Maybe it's being suppressed by Google so much that you need to throw it into DuckDuckGo, which doesn't do any. I don't even know
what that is.
It doesn't. Google does like click counts. Like they push things by their algorithm.
Well,
and sometimes also by, I think, by what they want you to see and what they don't want you to see. Whereas DuckDuckGo tries to remain very. That's why I like DuckDuckGo. You might throw something in a search and it doesn't pull up the best results, because its algorithm isn't trying to do like, this is a number case thing. This is just, well, you threw this in, we searched the web, here's the first ones that popped up. But anyway, it does give maybe search that. Maybe
all right,
go in there.
I will try DuckDuckGo. And you'll all know if
I
ever find
sound wave
it.
experiments in the
But the idea that maybe there is a technology out there that can cause.
There 100% is. And
without it being like.
Do you remember that, though?
I don't remember any of that.
It was like in Mexico, Puerto Rico, or something like that. And.
Well, now we have to look into that.
Oh, it better be real. Or we're not going to release this episode.
Well, as of right now, all 5 family members of the Tromp family are back living on their farm. Mark has since, returning home, removed the family farm's contact information from the internet. So all 5 are just growing red currants, moving the earth, and nobody can get in contact with them.
Wow.
We will
going old school with their business.
Just all living
we have
secluded.
No web presence.
Like, that was the most recent I could find. The kids aren't getting married. The kids aren't having their own kids. We will never know what drove the Tromp family of 5 to set out on that August morning to take the most bizarre family road trip ever. Perhaps it's one of the theories presented. I think the most likely being folie à deux.
Wild.
Something happened.
Something happened. I think you might be on it there with the outro, that it's forever hidden by somebody
talks.
that it's worth it not to talk.
Yep.
Of all the theories, the only ones that I'll buy is tainted water, making you do crazy things.
I know their water was connected to all of Melbourne. So,
yeah, exactly. That's far-fetched.
False.
But I guess the bread thing that I have heard.
Why are they all eating moldy bread?
Maybe they don't see it. I don't know.
They all just had sandwiches that morning.
I don't know.
With their Vegemite.
I've seen my kids just reach into a bag and
they're all literally grown-ups. Let's have some Vegemite on this moldy bread.
I know people that just like start making food and don't look at it first and hand it to a kid. But that doesn't mean that mold is causing hallucinations. Hallucinations.
It doesn't cause those hallucinations.
Really stuck on that.
Hallucinations.
Where's
your moldy bread? What's going on over there?
Hey, show me where those moldy breads of yours are.
Seriously, why isn't that like a street drug?
Yeah, I mean,
I have an entire loaf.
The mushrooms?
Sat in my
Isn't
attic.
that another? It probably has some
That's
other side effects you don't want.
So.
It is. Well, Denver anyway. So yeah, I still like my theory on it because I
government
just like
testing,
far-fetched dumb shit like that, but that is a real thing. Look at it. Look into it, people. I swear to God, it is a real thing. There was like sound waves, or it was like microwaves or something blasted at this room where government people were, and
I feel like now that you just keep talking about it, I feel like it's like tickling my brain.
You're starting to remember something?
It's tickling my brain.
It was more than one, too. Pretty sure good old Rogan talked about it a couple of times, too, at the time.
Senior Rogan.
Old Chapo Rogan. Anyway, I think this is
isn't it just
probably
the weirdest,
the bizarrest story that you could have told us without like having any murder.
No, but I could not.
Without having any crime except for Grand Theft Auto.
I could not stop reading about it. And I was like, this is taking up all my time. So I was like, I'm just going to do a story about it because I could not stop reading about it. Because I was just like, I don't understand what is freaking happening. Like, I have no idea. I still don't know. I feel like...
I still feel confused.
Same. As all of Australia, I'm sure did.
But for sure, this family experienced some sort of delusion altogether at the same time. And There's got to be an explanation.
I know. I like that in America. I feel if this happened, people would be looking for the darkest explanation. And in Australia, they're like, oh, they just had some hallucinogenic bread.
They're like, oh, that was fun at the time. I didn't even
so
try.
Silly. Like, and in America, we'd be like, what happened to the child? What are you covering up? Yeah. Like, who was in your house?
Are we missing anybody, though? Or is the whole family back?
They literally are all just living at the farm now.
Mom still has some episodes here and there.
We don't know, because I guarantee you nobody's reaching out.
Some episodes talking. Here and there. But outside of that, we're all pretty normal.
And we literally, in America, we'd be like, what is happening to those children at this farm? Like, what is going on? And in Australia, they're like, just let them grow the red currants because we want the jam.
I would put my money on something that was a drug of some sort, or like I said, something that can be used in a way to manipulate the way you think, some sort of wave form, and it affected the whole family. And they had these like few hours on the road and different
it was 6
weird
days.
Well, but the whole family being together, how many? It was like 1 or 2 days, right?
Night, 24 hours.
Yeah. And then, but one of them was affected more than all the others, or because that's the way drugs are. Like you take one more than the other, or beaming radiation to somebody affects people differently.
Know.
Like some brains can take it a little bit better than others.
I can't understand any of it, and it just makes me. Like I will fall. Yeah. I will try to fall asleep tonight.
I agree.
Thinking about it.
This is a weird one.
It's a conundrum.
I hope we find something out. So 2016, that art or that thing you sent me, like I don't know if it was from then, but Daily Mail actually reposted it in 2023. So they're still talking about it down there.
Yeah.
Or I think Daily Mail is actually
down under
England, isn't it?
I have no idea. That is not my area of expertise. So.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what my area of expertise is. It's a little bit of misery because I get all these stories from you, and this one leaves me in misery because I can't put a finger on it. What the
There's
heck?
No explanation.
What did we just talk about? Like
I don't know.
Even that, I'm just like,
nope.
I don't even. How do I explain this episode to somebody?
I don't know.
That's why you literally told me nothing. Usually you give me like tidbits, but you told me nothing. You're just like, it's in Australia.
None of it makes sense.
Get an Australian beer, mate.
Yeah.
No.
But that's not your only source of misery.
Living in misery today because my good old Denver Broncos just like the worst.
Oh, it was bad
performance they could have. Not even performance. It was just they wanted to give a game away, and we entered into the podcast with that, and I was very curious. Like the audience might get, all 2 people listening might get a bad performance from me because I'm so pissed off at my Denver Donkeys right now.
My team will lose tomorrow. It'll be fine. However, I was not going to let you sit here with an orange jersey and me in my T-shirt.
And we look like we're in separate rooms. If you're looking at, we're going to have a little bit of video on social media for this.
But we're not. We're in a room that's all of 6 by 10 feet.
But we did a good job of making this, and we're looking at monitors right now.
Yeah. Here's the deal.
But yeah, we did.
Your team lost today. I'm sure mine will lose tomorrow.
I'm sure they will too.
It'll be okay. McDaniels, get your shit together.
Garoppolo better have a good game
for
though. He's
the
on
sake
my
of
fantasy
the entire nation. I'm talking to you, McDaniels. Do fucking better. Seriously, I can't even talk to you right now, McDaniels.
I'll look at you. You suck.
You're the worst.
You suck.
Bring back Jack
worst.
Del Rio. Hashtag
Jackie Poo.
Bring back Jack. Bring back Jack.
Or bring back that interim coach he had.
We can't even remember his name.
I was hoping you'd be
Where's Derek Carr? DC. Anyway, all right. This is the end.
Yeah.
It's time for me to do what I do best.
Sorry, guys.
But what if something else entirely different happened? And whatever that is, it can actually explain why 2 of the Tromp family members wound up in psychiatric care for months. In that case, perhaps every kilometer driven, every stop made, every utterly unexplainable decision made by the Tromps was simply designed to distract us from a more horrifying truth. The answer forever hidden by those who might just lose everything if the truth were revealed. This truth forever lost to the Australian outback on their fateful 1,600-kilometer drive.